Hello and welcome back to Fear the Waves Inside the Wave. This is your host from last season, Isaac Popper, and I'm here for a special episode tonight to talk about Jake Retzlaff. That's right, you know him as BYU, or number 12 from BYU last year, has transferred to the Tulane Green Wave, and I'm here to break it all down tonight. I'm recording this as of Tuesday night on July 29th. So fall camp starts in the morning, and I want to make sure this got out before fall camp. I actually was in Utah when Jake Retzlaff committed and got to check out Lavelle Edwards Stadium at BYU. So you might have seen my tweet and my video from the stadium sharing how it was going to be a special day last Monday on July 21st when Jake Retzlaff committed verbally to the Tulane Green Wave. First, before we get started, I just want to read the statement from Michael Arata, Jimmy Ordino, and the Fear the Wave collective regarding the passing of Greg Glenn. We're devastated by the loss of Greg Glenn III. Greg was always kind, always generous, always smiling, and always spreading joy. He made friends wherever he went, and we are blessed that he counted us among his many, many friends. We are brokenhearted for his family. Please join us in praying for his loving mother and his dear father, his family, and the multitude of friends that Greg leaves behind. And on a personal note, I really enjoyed my time with Greg. He always had a great sense of humor and was super friendly to me. So, and some of the other people in the media and around the team. So back to Jake. I'm going to go through a bunch of things tonight, and I've been really excited and wanting to talk about this huge transfer, potentially transformational for Tulane, as their college football playoff hopes are very well alive right now. Every team is 0-0. And so first, I will discuss the buzz, who Jake is, and the recruitment process. Then I'll give you a timeline of where we've been at since the 21st until the start of fall camp, maybe a preview of fall camp as well. And then talk about the quarterback battle, because this job has not been won yet. Jake Retzlaff has not been promised the job. He's made it clear that he's aware of that. And then the quarterback battle, whoever wins that battle is going to have a really tough non-conference stretch. So I'll preview that, and then we'll take a quick look at the numbers that Retzlaff could have taken instead of 12, but he opted to represent the number 12 again like he did last season. So fans are pumped. If you haven't seen the buzz, if you're not on social media and just like to listen to our podcast or watch our film on YouTube, appreciate it. Appreciate everybody who's watching or listening today, as always. But there's clearly a lot of buzz around Jake Retzlaff. This is, first of all, it's a quarterback who won 10 games last year in the Big 12. And granted, the Big 12 did have a down year. That's a Power 4 conference right now. And he started 9-0 on that team and was a huge part of that success. So that's a big deal. Second of all, it's a quarterback, always important, especially in college football. And third, Tulane is about a third Jewish in terms of the undergrad population. And so there's a lot of alumni and current students who are really excited specifically about having a Jewish quarterback as their quarterback for this season. There's a large responsibility replacing Darian Mensah, and that's why there was a lot of scrutiny on Caden Simonsa and Donovan Leary in the spring game and throughout the spring. And not only was Darian Mensah the quarterback last year, but you had 4 years of who I consider, and I've mentioned this before, the Tulane GOAT Michael Pratt. So you had the Cotton Bowl year after the 2-10 year. You have Michael Pratt's senior year, which was another good season, fall short in the conference championship. And the same thing last year with Darian Mensah, but what looked like a really promising season up until Mensah, maybe already having something going on with Duke as the play started to fall off for the entire team in that Memphis game, unfortunately, on Thanksgiving night. So this year, we've got a quarterback who won't be nicknamed BYU anymore, but needs a new nickname. And if he wins the starting job, I propose it to be Juby1, with a tip-off there to Ben Barth. Also in consideration is Baiju or Bayou Ju, something along those lines, with New Orleans playing into it. So please let me know which nickname you think we should don on Jake Retzlaff. Really excited to have Jake here personally. We both spoke in different capacities at a Hillel International event during the Super Bowl week through the Robert Kraft's Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism. At a Black Jewish Unity event, he spoke on a panel with Leonard Fournette, Greg Joseph, and some other former sports athletes. So really excited to I really enjoyed meeting him at that event, and was hoping maybe one day he might be in a Tulane uniform, but did not expect that as a Tulane student after he had a lot of success at BYU. But now with the suspension from BYU for breaking school policies and team policies, he's welcomed at Tulane after an extensive, or maybe not so extensive, but a serious look, at least by the Tulane's Title IX office, as reported by ESPN and Pete Thamel. So Jake Retzlaff last season was undefeated for a long time. They started 9-0 last season, and he was the hero for BYU, leading that team. He's a 6'1" quarterback, 200 pounds. He's a good runner, not a great runner. Last season, he had a 58% completion percentage, 2,947 yards, so about 3,000 passing yards, but then another 400 on the ground on 100 attempts. So 4.2 yards per attempt on the ground, 8 yards per attempt in the air, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Longest throw was 62 yards and had a rating of 136.6. So this is somebody who doesn't fare it out to be a star in the Big 12 last year, according to the PFF numbers and the stats, but somebody who is really solid. And as Judge John Sumrall said last week, somebody that can win you games. John Sumrall was originally the only coach to offer Jake Retzlaff. He had one offer out of JUCO, started in JUCO, was the number one quarterback according to ESPN's JUCO ratings. I believe it was ESPN's. Formed a great relationship with John Sumrall. Ultimately, BYU ended up coming in and offering, so clearly he went to BYU. He had 2 D1 offers according to Sumrall, and Sumrall kept up that relationship. And he said that it was pretty easy keeping up the relationship with Jake and getting back in touch when he became available over the last few weeks. So Tulane moved quickly on that. Obviously, he doesn't have a lot of time to learn the playbook. Caden Samansa came in December, Donovan Leary in January, both committed here. So basically, they had the spring semester and the summer OTAs, whereas Jake Retzlaff got into campus he committed on Monday, the 21st, and then arrived Wednesday, Thursday onto campus, moved in. That's a week before, or less than a week, depends how you look at it, before fall camp starts, and under 40 days until the season starts. So he does not have long to learn the playbook here. So to continue the timeline, he arrived a week ago. Thursday, Friday last week were the American Conference, not American Athletic Conference anymore, the American Conference, now with an Eagle mascot, media days, or what they call the American Conference kickoff. Thursday, Friday, Shadre Hurst and Sam Howard admirably representing the Tulane Green Wave and the football team, 2 leaders that I've had the pleasure to get to know and have been some of the best to inside the wave and fear the wave over the last few years. So very excited for them to have that opportunity. That was last week, and now we're into fall camp. Tuesday was the day to report. That is today, the recording day. This will come out on Wednesday, the morning of fall camp. And then the question everybody's wondering is, when will Jake Retzlaff be made available to the media? And that's going to be Friday at 10:30 Central Time. So make sure to check out YouTube for some of the local news stations posting when all of the press availabilities for the Tulane student athletes, as well as John Sumrall. But Friday, particularly with Jake Retzlaff. The team will be practicing at a mixture of locations, which is really interesting to me. And Gary Smith pointed this out on Twitter, and he said that he's going to follow up about this tomorrow at the first practice. So I would check out Gary Smith's Twitter page if you're interested in why they're playing on Gold Mine on Airline. I believe it used to be named the Shrine, in addition to practicing at the Saints indoor practice facility 3 times. Schedule is always subject to change. I'm sure it will change, but currently Saints indoor practice facility 3 times, the Gold Mine on Airline twice, and Yeoman Stadium for the rest of those practices. All right, so that is where we are at in terms of timeline. Also important in terms of timing, because this isn't a normal transfer window, Jake Retzlaff is transferring as an undergraduate walk-on, actually, and he's going to be studying in the School of Professional Advancement with that sports management specialty there, something that's really popular among players. Let's talk about the quarterback room. There's 10 quarterbacks on the roster. That's a lot. It is not just, okay, Mensah's gone, it's Retzlaff is the guy. It's not what we thought it was when we got Brendan Sullivan. When Tulane got Brendan Sullivan, it looked like, okay, this is going to be the guy. He looked good at Iowa, played Northwestern before that. But it's going to be a competition, most likely between Samansa, Sullivan, and Caden Samansa, who looked better than Donovan Leary in the spring game, and I would say throughout the spring, at least that is what Burrow's report is adamant about. John Burrows, my co-host there. Samansa was the MAC Freshman of the Year at Ball State last year, played 4 games as a true freshman, and then last year was a great redshirt freshman. Donovan Leary comes in as a redshirt junior, has not played in 3 years. He's the brother of Devin Leary, who was drafted out of NC State. Donovan on Tulane football from Illinois. And, of course, no more TJ Finley, who had transferred in. It was originally Finley, Samansa, and Leary, the 3 guys ready to compete it out. We figured, okay, probably one of them won't be on the roster come August, and that is true. Finley was dismissed from Finley and the team parted ways earlier in the spring due to the legal case. And Ty Thompson is still on the roster. Kai Horton is over at Washington, but Ty Thompson's on the roster. So last year, those were the 2 guys along with Mensah, but really it was supposed to be the Kai and Ty battle. Mensah was the 3rd string until he was announced the starter, and we broke that here on Fear the Wave, shortly reported after by Pete Thimmel of ESPN. We put out our video on YouTube and on the Fear the Wave site. John and I interviewed Darian Mensah, and he gave us a great interview ahead of being named the starting quarterback. So this year, who knows? Maybe it's not Retzlaff. Maybe it's not Sullivan. Maybe it is Samansa. Maybe there's an outside shot of Leary. Maybe we'll see some Tasby this year, although he's moved to wide receiver himself. And again, Ty Thompson at tight end now. You still have the walk-ons in Jackson Judge from last year and Dagan Bruno. Bruno, the quarterback who ran the Wildcat as or not the Wildcat, but the Army-Navy system quarterback. He really simulated that for them in some sort of a Wildcat formation. But really the triple option is what he ran in high school. And so he was able to simulate the triple option, which was really successful for Navy. And Tulane shut out Navy and in large part due to Dagan Bruno being a great scout team member of the week then. And then to wrap it up, Jay Beeman, a freshman who has a bright future. He's got a great arm. I really like what I saw on his high school tape. And then Kate Scott, who's an early enrollee. This was somebody that Tulane was really excited about and was talked about as maybe being in consideration for that starting job before they went and got Brennan Sullivan and now Jake Retzlaff. In the non-conference, opening day is in August against Northwestern. It's the first ever August day game outside in New Orleans for Tulane football, program that's been around a very long time. And this is going to be a hot game. But last year, BYU's opener was at night, but their August kickoff last year for Jake Retzlaff was actually 90 degrees. And so I would expect that it's going to be really hot. Tulane's played 120 seasons. This is going to be their 121st season. They've played since 1902, and they are going to be playing their first outside day game in August in New Orleans. So a lot of factors there, but potential to be the hottest game, or at least the hottest home game that they've played, especially when you consider the real feel with the humidity in August in New Orleans. Then Tulane has up South Alabama. On September 6th, Northwestern on August 30th. It's at South Alabama, not too far in Mobile, Alabama. And then the big game everybody's been waiting for, September 13th, night game on ESPN2 at the very least, and on radio, of course, with Corey Galore, Steve Barrios, and Matty Hudak, as always. Duke University and Darian Mensah's return to Yulman Stadium, what should be the most hostile crowd in Yulman Stadium history. Yulman opened in 2014, So this is year 12, and Tulane starting quarterback might be number 12 because Jake Retzlaff is now on the roster as number 12. Kate Scott is also still listed at number 12. That early enrollee freshman quarterback. Some other options that Jake Retzlaff might have considered, although I'm not sure, is maybe 7, a number important in Judaism, but that's worn by Shaz Preston. 11, which is his JUCO number, but that is currently owned by Trey Shackelford, a transfer wide receiver. 13, which is an auspicious number, but Ty Thompson just switched to it. And then 18, which is a lucky Jewish number and was open. So a lot of people had asked me if they thought that Retzlaff was going to be 18. And now we know that he's going to be repping number 12, despite it being owned by a current player, but somebody who is going to be a freshman this season. So that is all from me as we head into fall camp. Looking forward to seeing what Tulane can do this year. I think it'll be an interesting season. Fear the Wave has got a lot of content that they're putting out there right now. Make sure you are subscribed to the collective and on their site, fearthewavecollective.com, which is a subscription-based website where you can find some inside information. So Jake Weinstock, one of the best, has been breaking down every position group for Tulane football. He just posted and wrote about the cornerback room. He also projected the offense's 2-deep depth chart before training camp opens. And there's some other articles as well from the previous weeks. In addition, there is an offensive position by position preview with not only Jimmy O and Jake Weinstock on the Jimmy O show, or Fear the Wavecast, sorry, but the return of Kelly Camarda. Kelly has been the director of roster management for Tulane football, an important add for Tulane head coach John Sumrall as he is in his second year and renegotiated his deal at the end of last season. So this was a 20-minute podcast. Thank you if you are still listening or watching, about Jake Retzlaff and also the state of Tulane football as we head into fall camp. I hope you are subscribed and looking forward to keeping you updated with what is on tap for me this season, as well as some other contributors to Fear the Wave. We hopefully will be adding to the team and have some news from Fear the Wave Collective in the coming weeks. So Tulane football, we are a month away. August 30th is the season opener versus Northwestern, then South Alabama, Duke, and then at Ole Miss at South Alabama as well. And when this is live, it'll be July 30th. So exactly 1 month until the start of Tulane football season. Hope you're excited and hope you enjoyed. This is Isaac Popper with Fear the Wave.